to the UK League of Turbo Inters, and after that first game, I'm joking.
Wow.
That was yeah, that was fun. It was a really fun game. I love it when we see something a little bit different.
I like that XL want to try something different. I just don't think it was the right thing. I don't want to be too critical, but I feel like the early game's always been great. We've seen consistently XL know how to play the early game. It's what happens after. You know, if you put on a show reel the first 15 minutes, XL the best team in the world.
Really? You just,
well, maybe not the world.
You putting that out there?
Maybe the UK. Best team in the UK for the first 15 minutes.
Nice revision. Yeah. We're going to be moving on though because we have had our time with XL and Fnatic. Fnatic for now, we will see them later on in the next game. And their opponents will be the winner of this one here. MnM taking on Phelan Gaming. Now Phelan obviously have been a struggling team. They haven't quite had the success of our top four. And MnM have been on a surge over the last few weeks. Tower champions out of nowhere, beating Fnatic, climbing very rapidly. And now they're on that ascension again.
Yeah, and they had that solid win against Enclave, which is a big deal because I feel like Barrage have been a bit hit and miss, so XL beating them wasn't too much an upset. Fnatic being Darkspawn was pretty expected, but I think MnM had the hardest matchup going into the round of 8, and they came out ahead, so that's pretty promising going forwards. But the thing I've got to say is that Phelan, they look like a different team. They look like a team now, instead of 5 players who are just happening to play on the same side. So I hope to see some good macro play again for them in the early levels, and that should hopefully get them further. And what I loved about them yesterday was that everyone picked confidence picks. I mean, you have Softly Sin, you have the Vel'Koz from ADM, the early pickup of the Lucian from Achu. It just felt like everyone was like, I'm going to play what I feel good on, and it worked. So
absolutely, and then
we are don't fix it.
Hopefully going to be jumping into draft as soon as we physically can. But as it stands, I think most people give MnM the slight advantage in this matchup. I think most people say, well, just given the caliber of players that MnM have got, how well they've been playing recently, and Phelan are still the underdogs in this scenario.
I think it's, you know, 70-30, 65-35 would be a fair one to call it. I think Phelan last week, I think you would have said it's a one-sided MnM game, but I think they showed they have some life. It's just, can they deliver again against a stronger team? And that's what we've got to see.
Yeah, well, I think when we get into draft and once we move through this game, we'll start to see maybe Phelan unfold a little bit in terms of what they've got planned, because...
Do you have a Phelan?
I'm living on a feeling, or living on a prayer, actually, that's the wrong song. I got a feeling.
I got a feeling.
I got a feeling that this is going to be a good game. Let's get on with the draft.
Right.
I love your, it's almost like just below freak. You're not quite freak, but you're just below freak.
That's my aspiration, that's what I'm aiming for.
You just want to be freak?
Yeah, I want to also my hair to go from the top of my head to the bottom. Sorry, sorry, Freak, I love you. If he ever sees this, you probably won't.
Just in case you're watching, the UKLC Freak.
Apologies.
He admires how your hair transitioned. It was like a migratory
it's like,
journey.
You know when people Photoshop it, they switch the hair? Anyway, let's move on with the draft.
That NA color caster position is definitely not going your way, is it, mate?
No, I'm kind of definitely shooting myself out of that one. But I'm happy here in the UK where we are seeing MnM come in with that Lee Sin being banned away from Soft, Zoe taken from ADM, and then we see again the Relief from Chibs.
Yes, a respect ban versus Chibs, and I like that. I mean, Chibs is I think the newest, the greenest rookie that we have in the entire UKLC in terms of his competitive experience, and people are giving him the respect that he deserves. Eragon gets a ban of his Yorick, although we usually see a Yorick ban somewhere in the mix, but it is something that Eragon has piloted incredibly well, so that's going to be a ban for MnM coming out here. Yeah,
and it'll be interesting to see the Galio come out from Phelan. There's still like the Jarvan potentially available. There's still the Lucian, which you've seen a very high priority on throughout. So if Monk wants to get his hands on that, which it seems like he does, then that's a big one to take up. And we've seen a lot of lane promise come out from Monk and Shogun at times, and it has been our lane to watch on MnM. Although other members have carried, I think getting them a strong pick on a Monk might lead to that whole Monk will carry thing.
Yeah, well, you can see the ban rate pretty high at 81%.
Was fast.
That was a fast lock-in for Achu and Snuggly. And again, they are going up against Monk and Shogun, who have been some of the best bot lanes and best performing bot laners that we've had in our competition. So, talk to me about this particular sort of direct matchup. What the hell's Kalista? I keep wanting to say Kaisar in my brain. The Kalista
it's one of the things where if you dash in on a Kalista Braum, you just get locked up. You can't ever do it as Lucian, because as soon as you go forwards, they jump on you. You get the spears stacking up, you get the passive stacking up. The Braum is also a good denial from Lucian Braum lane, but it just shows a lot of confidence, because there is a sort of issue that if you fall behind in the curve on Kalista, she gets very difficult to play, especially when you look at the lockdown coming out from MnM with Alessandra. But you can tell these teams aren't leaving Lucian open by accident. They have a plan for it, and we saw the plan last game from Fnatic, where they had the great flankers, and now we're seeing the Kalista Braum come out, the Phelan deal with it, and then the Lissandra picked up most likely for Chibs, but the issue with the Lissandra is that it's pretty short-ranged, and you're now dealing with a Vel'Koz, which is something we know ADM loves, but it's like if you get on top of the Vel'Koz and lock him up, sure, that's great, but it's such a long distance to close from where he can just bully you.
Yeah, absolutely, and we saw yesterday how well ADM...
100% win rate.
Yeah, there you go. The only time I think it's been played has been by ADM, and he picks up that win. So
yeah.
it is a pick that we saw him pilot incredibly well yesterday, and he finally got his own to his game. He got that eye on his ultimate. He had hugely impactful ultimates towards the mid to late game. So I'm looking to see that kind of performance from him again. And now we enter that second phase with the Jarvan getting banned out. So that ability to flex the Jarvan as your final pick to give a bit of surprise, I guess. I mean, Phelan still have that element of surprise that they can bring through, because if that Jarvan did come through, then it could still go to Soph or Eragon on that final pick, and they had a bit more flexibility in their draft.
Absolutely, and the advantage going into the next draft phase, because these teams have picked essentially the same lanes against each other, and they're very cemented. You're not going to put an Alistar top, not on this meta. It gives you advantage over the Phelan because they get that first pick priority after these rotational bans, and then not only that, they get the potential counter pick. So I think coming out of this, Phelan should be in a good position to pick what they want, which is why MnM have to be careful. They're worried about that Jarvan because it's always going to work as a flex.
Yes.
They then take off the Rex size, so sort of targeting what Soph can pick to have that early pressure. But now, if I was Phelan, I would lean towards sort of a stable jungle pick, and then you go for a counter pick for Eragon. But, I mean, you could go for anything here.
Name stable, because we've had a lot of bans, and a lot of them targeted at Nulty specifically, and then the Elise comes through, which is a pick that Nulty is known for in terms of his play.
If you work it out, Elise has a 100% win rate when Nulty doesn't play it.
Actually, I think we just saw a loss go over to Taxa as well on Elise, so...
I'm wrong.
It's okay, mate. We're all wrong sometimes.
Yeah, well, you know, I saw the stats. I made a guess. It was wrong.
Is this the return of the Nulty Nidalee? That's the question I've got for you. The Nulty Nidalee, about to hit its way back onto Summoner's Rift.
Maybe. Maybe not. I'm trying to think what you would potentially play. You could take the Gragas here. Would be a decent pickup, although it's not too great in the Braum. But if you get that engaged on the Vel'Koz, you can knock him back into your team, and it makes it so hard for the Vel'Koz to ever ult, because you throw that barrel and it just cancels it.
Looks like MnM slightly... I mean, I'm not going to talk about it just yet, but I didn't think the Vi was definitely going to get locked in. So it is going to be that Gragas. It is, again...
And it makes sense.
It makes sense. It's a really good way of isolating and then locking down the Vel'Koz, which is really that problem child of the composition that you're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
And now Phelan have got an option to go for their top lane pick into the Aatrox, which we know Mummus has got a great Aatrox.
The ultimate counter to Aatrox is Fiora, but Eragon's not going to take that, and he's going to take the Poppy, which... It's not a bad matchup. It's just you're not going to crush it. Something you see in Korea often is Fiora picked into the Aatrox as a sort of I'm going to beat you and split push and just dominate you. But Eragon going for the more I'm going to play for my team pick. It is going to help against that engage, particularly the Gragas trying to body slam in or the Alistar. The issue is only going to be Eragon has to be there to provide that.
So what do you make now of these compositions? Now, we look down the left-hand side. We have the MnM composition, the Aatrox, the Gragas, the Lissandra with the Lucian and can't remember the support, the Alistar. So what are you talking about win conditions for this team?
I think MnM picked up a pretty solid all-round comp that's good for team fighting. It's got pretty good side lanes because you can put the Lissandra in a side lane with TP or the Aatrox in the late game. I think they want to play to a sort of mid-game spike, get a lead early, and then just crush the backline. It's very much Phelan will want to protect their backline, their Vel'Koz and their Kalista, and sort of kite back because you eat so much damage when you try and get on top of Kalista or a Vel'Koz, whereas you want to see MnM making those flanks. You want to see an Aatrox being on top of the Vel'Koz or Lissandra getting like a 5-man route at the backline. That is the dream for MnM.
And then we turn the tables to Phelan. Where are we looking for their win conditions?
The early pressure from that Elise is going to be a huge thing, and then you can put a lot of power in the bot lane, like the Braum and the Kalista is very strong 2v2. And then just snowballing that lead and just never letting your carries get touched. Because, like I said, if you try and run at a Vel'Koz and he puts down all of his abilities, you take so much damage. And especially in the late game, that Vel'Koz is just going to absolutely shred. I don't think they have a clear advantage in the late game. It's more if they protect their carries at the late stages, they win.
And how do you think, what's the best way for them to do the protecting? Because they have the Elise in the jungle, which isn't really known to be the ultimate peeling jungle that you could have had.
It's about having them together as a 5v5. Yeah. Because if you have them as a 5-man, You have the Poppy with you. You can stop engages. You have the Braum as well. Very easy to protect. The issue is MnM have a tool at their disposal, which is that they'll have the TP on the Lissandra and the Aatrox. So if they want to split push, they can. Yeah,
I mean, there is no split pushing apart from maybe the Poppy, but in the Phelan composition, you can't have Vel'Koz in a side lane. He's too vulnerable. Too vulnerable. So we're jumping into game. MnM taking on Phelan. Here we go as we round things into our second semi-final of the UKLC. We've already talked about what Orcs thinks these win conditions are. Let's see which team is better at activating them.
Yeah, so a big one's just to be watching what the junglers do early. Because, like I said, I think in terms of scaling, it's not so much this... like we saw last game, Fnatic were like, after this point, it becomes very hard for XL. It's not so much that case for this game. It's more they have different win conditions, and it's which one hits the mark without falling too far behind.
I actually think I'm completely in accordance with that, because I can't really name, apart from the Vel'Koz, can't really name a carry on either side that's going to be like, damn, he's going to be solid in the late game, you know?
Yeah.
And Vel'Koz is really the only one that stands out as a huge damage dealer as the game scales.
And even then, if you get on top of Vel'Koz, he's pretty useless.
Yeah, I mean, his ultimate renders him completely immobile, so...
Kalista can pump out a lot of damage late, but again, if you get on top of her...
Well, she takes time to stack that damage up. It's not like a Vayne who just needs to hit 3 auto attacks and boom, there you go. Although Kalista does scale well in terms of the overall damage she can output, it takes time to render stacks
so
up.
it all comes down to if you make a botched engage and the Vel'Koz and the Kalista are free hitting, they will win those team fights. And so that's why you want to see a team get a big gold advantage, because you don't have to be as strict on your win conditions if you get ahead, but the early pressure coming out from Nolte, he's going for a flank here, and double knock up.
Shogun knocks in huge damage onto a Chu. First blood right there, going over to Monk.
Yeah, just a good play. They don't respect a level 2 gank from Nolte, and we said you want to watch these junglers in the early levels, and they already find the traction. Nolte starting things off strong. Better than his Elise play, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't even look like Soft has got a good way to punish this, because the best way to punish a level 2 gank is go and take some jungle from the enemy. But because Elise is now taking most of her side jungle, she probably isn't going to get over to that blue side jungle of Nolte before he can get there himself.
And it just shows huge confidence from Shogun and being that flash level 1. It was clearly talked about before the game. They planned this, and it means this bot lane matchup that we said, Braum, Kalista are very, very strong level 1. I mean, especially against Nalister, who I always say isn't really a champion level 1. You're playing up against a Kalista and a Braum whose level 1 is so strong, but they couldn't take advantage of it because they got flashed on by the Alistar. And that is the one case where an Alistar's useful level 1, is if you flash pulverizes, and there it came out perfectly, and it got Monk and Shogun past that tricky point in the lane, and now they're going to be an advantage because that heal's down for a Chu, he's down in CS, down in XP.
I think that was just massively disrespectful from a Chu and Snuggly. I think you didn't respect the Alistar in the brush, you didn't expect the fact that Nolte could come to the bottom side of the map. I think, unfortunately, that was just a situation where you made a mistake.
They just got caught off guard, they didn't expect it, because if you were playing that game as an isolated 2v2, they were playing it how you should. But the thing is, it's not an isolated 2v2, and you have to expect these level 2 ganks. They've become so much more common, not recently, but on this season. And I think you always have to be aware from it, because in a situation like this, in a best of 1, it could cost you the game. I don't think the game is over yet by any means, but it's definitely not a good start.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have much time to recover. You know, when you're playing these best of 1s, you've got to do it in-game rather than between games, and that is something that will always plague players just a little bit. Looks like Soft is going towards the top side of the map to put some pressure onto Mummus here on his Aatrox, as Aragon standing up pretty well on this Poppy so far. Soft hasn't had the opportunity to punish Nolte in the jungle. He did get a ward down onto that blue side, but didn't have the opportunity to take that blue buff. So realistically, that was a free level 2 gank, which you just don't see happen too much. I mean, usually there is a way to punish a level 2 gank by the enemy jungler, but Soft has not found that opportunity.
This is not a fun lane matchup for Chibs. Just the range difference, the Vel'Koz can permanently poke you, and with Lissandra, you're pretty much limited to trying to shove the wave, whereas the Vel'Koz can both poke you and shove the wave at the same time. So he's in such a great position here, but Chibs didn't pick this for the laning matchup, he picked it for the team fight.
And so far, none of the laning matchups that you thought would sort of accelerate out of control have done so far, and the Lucian actually puts himself 10 CS ahead of a Chu in this bottom lane, so there's already a pretty significant CS advantage opening up.
Will be a big wave from the Kacho. Shouldn't be too dire, but still not the greatest position to be in, especially when you look at that dragon. It's an Infernal. Both teams are going to put a lot of priority on that, but you have to imagine that MnM, with the strength in the spot lane already, are going to come out more favorably.
And you've got to always respect that engage from Monk and Shogun as well. Now, Alistair's flash will be up cooldown in a few minutes' time. And he'll be able to find another opportunity, maybe with Nolty, to just engage back onto Snuggly and Achu. Gonna get the vision around this dragon sorted out, and it doesn't look like there is a great opportunity for response right now from Phelan. Don't think he'll go directly for the dragon. I don't think it's safe enough right now for Nolty.
Yeah, I think it's a bit too early to risk that. For now, they are looking like they might make a play bot, though. They have 4 members, but Elise and Vel'Koz are moving to react. This might be more for skirmish in the jungle than a dive bot lane.
I think they're just backing off.
Yeah.
They see Elise on the blue side of the map. They realize that there was an immediate response for Phelan, and they know that it's just not a good opportunity for them. They're not going to get the surprise factor of that Lissandra flank, which we know has worked out so well for teams across the UKLC.
Yeah, but that's the power of that vision control. Means they are able to make that decision. And although they do give some space over the soft, they still have some deep vision set up. I say deep. It's not super deep. There's that ward Shogun put, but it's deep for the early levels.
Going to try and get some vision up onto Nolty here.
Oh, he actually dodged away from the scrying.
He did. Cheeky little dodge from Nolty.
So they shouldn't be completely aware of his position right now. His red buff is coming up soon, so I get the vibe that Soft is looking to contest this, but never mind, he's backing off. I think just establishing vision control. As an Elise, he's hit level 5 and he hasn't really done anything, so he's not quite hit. My sort of win condition for an Elise is always make something happen pre-level 6. There's still time, and with him having bot lane, I think he's looking to make something happen.
Nolty will have red buff. I'm wondering whether that hits him level 6 as well, because that'll be a good power spike for Nolty coming into a counter gank scenario versus Soft, who's moving up in this lane and trying to put some pressure onto Monk. I think it's going to be so difficult to do this versus an Alistair so close to the tower as well. But Alistair is not yet level 6, so oh, he misses. Soft misses the cocoon, and that is the worst feeling in the world for an Elise.
Fancy feet from Monk. Didn't even really need a dodge, it was just a miss from Soft. I feel like sometimes it's so hard to hit someone when you're out of vision because you don't know how they'll move. When someone's dodging, you expect how they're going to move, but when they're not, you have to kind of guess. They will use that sort of pressure advantage to head over to that Infernal Dragon, but Nolty's coming pretty fast. I don't think he's going to give this one up for free. No,
Chips is teleported in. Here comes Nolty. He's on the bounce side of the pit. Lissandra can look for a flank in this situation if she so chooses, but MnM, they're going to just back off. Not even going to try and contest this. Don't want to risk the 50-50 on the Infernal Drake.
Yeah, big thing is that Kalista had a lot of stacks in it. It's never going to be a true 50-50 with the Kalista having setup on the objective. So it was a great decision from MnM just to reset it, stop those stacks from going up, because if they try to go for the 50-50, it's more like a 30-70.
33, yeah, 33-66, something like, because you've got 2 smites that you have to contend with the Kalista having that sort of faux smite on her side of things.
Yeah, so good decision just to reset that. And the thing is, a lot of pressure lost because they devoted so much time heading over that, and that's just further accelerated the goal difference between Monk and Achu. About, well, just under, it's closing now, but it was about 15 CS down now.
Yeah, and it was almost a 1,000. It's about an 800, 600 gold lead or so between that, fluctuating with Monk and Achu, but they're going for the Infernal once more.
This is a very, very risky decision because Nolty is coming down fast and Monk is coming from base with a lot of items. They absolutely win this 4v4. They might get the dragon, but they'll lose the fight.
Oh, Chips goes straight in. That is huge for MnM. They're even going to get the dragon off the back of it as well, unless as ADM can go for a big ultimate. Doesn't look like he can. And Shogun and the rest of the team find that engage. They pick up the Inferno, and that is disaster for Phelan.
You know, I was talking about how Monk is really strong with a lot of items there. He wasn't even in that fight. They didn't need him. The TP, I believe, was actually cancelled by Mummet. It got cancelled by Aragon.
Yeah.
So they didn't even need the extra 2 members from their team. 3 was enough, and that's the power. When they get on top of your backline, it is so strong. This sort of Lissandra, Gragas, Alistair combo. And feeling they give over the dragon, but a handful of kills too, and it's not a good start for them.
No, and especially when you don't want to give too much of a mid-game advantage over to this composition from MnM, you're doing exactly that. And every lane is really, I mean, apart from the mid lane, which has kind of been, you'd expect to go in favor of ADM because of the range mismatch between a Vel'Koz and a Lissandra, every other lane has kind of been struggling for Phelan. I think you're just seeing the individual prowess coming out from MnM themselves, and Nolty has been way more active than Soft in terms of impacting the map as well.
Yeah, it looks like Soft is learning from Nolty's Elise textbook. Playing the sort of questionable early levels.
What is the Elise textbook?
No, the Nulty Elise textbook, which is
oh,
the
you
int
mean
early.
just don't? You mean just playing Elise bad? Is that what?
Inting on Elise early.
Oof.
I mean, it's not done awful. It's just the fact that they're falling behind a lot of pressure. And looks like they might try and contest this Rift Tile, but there's only 2 members here, so this could be a bit risky.
Yeah, Momus doesn't have teleport. It doesn't look like the bot lane from Phelan are in position right now, though. As Shogun was just channeling the Hex Flash. I don't think they're going to have the opportunity to contest this. They're just going to give it over to Nulty, and that is another objective now picked up by MnM as they look to accelerate this mid game.
Yeah, in a good position. They picked up the Rift Tile. It's just going to help snowball things further and further. And yes, we said Phelan still have that sort of win condition where if they defend their backline, they'll win. That's going to get harder and harder when the goal difference becomes bigger. And it's not a situation like Fnatic where they can just wait until 30 minutes and they auto-win the game. It's not quite that simple for them. They are looking for a play here top. Soft going to try and land that Cocoon again.
Oh, that is the ultimate coming out from Kalista. Back onto Monk. A nice backwards ultimate coming out from Snuggly, but the ultimate is there for Shogun. A huge pulverize as Snuggly takes damage. A Chu taking damage too. Shogun picks up the kill. A second one by Nulty, and he is not done yet. ADM
Chibs
now very low. Chibs is coming in. The flash over. Slams in with the Frozen Tomb. Can they get the kill? A Chu trying to bounce over, cannot do so, and Nulty body slams his way to another kill.
I'm feeling go for an overzealous play there. Monk still had his flash. They get the knockup, but it's too late. He's on a tower, and a great turnaround from Shogun means they lose so many members on that play. Nulty has the Herald. He doesn't even need to use it, and they'll probably get this turret.
This looks dire for Phelan in this situation. We're now at a 4,000 gold lead at just 11 minutes. It feels like we are much later into the game by the way the rotations have come out, but this is catastrophic, you feel, for Phelan, and I just think that MnM now are looking to take the game by the horns, and that's not an Alistair pun intended. Just feel like they're in massive control now.
Absolutely, they're so far ahead already. They still have that Herald. There's an Infernal Dragon coming up, so what they're going to do is they're going to swap the pressure over to the bot side. They have that Rift Herald, which can potentially buy them space, and they're just going to get complete control over this Dragon area. The play I like to see teams do is they get vision control, and then they throw the Rift Herald down as a Dragon spawning, and Phelan have to react to that, which means they can just take the Dragon for free. It's a second Infernal. You get both of those, and it really puts things into a difficult position for Phelan, because that sort of late game protect your carry potential is just out the window if they're doing so much damage on the back of all that extra AD and AP.
And just like you said earlier, there is no 30-minute 3-item vein win condition for Phelan here. They really have to activate at a similar time to MnM. They really are trying to keep them on even keels because the Kalista mid-game spike, much like the Lucian. You have the Poppy and the Elise who are not going to scale like a ridiculous amount in terms of damage into the late game. And really, you only are relying on ADM to bring your late game powerhouse damage, and he is so easily flanked by a lot of the MnM members.
Yeah, the thing is, a fed Vel'Koz can just decimate a whole team with his ult. But a Vel'Koz who's behind will just tickle you.
Chibs tries to go in here with Nulty, it doesn't quite find it as ADM is very good at disengaging.
They might look to throw down the Rift Towel soon. It's still 30 seconds. I think they'll wait for the next wave, throw the Rift Towel down. It has to be reacted to by Phelan, and then you can just make the play for the Dragon. Monk and Shogun are pushing top, but they're heading down. They should be here in time. It looks like Phelan are using this opportunity to get some control themselves. It might be a bit of a mismove from MnM to keep their bot lane top for so long, but at the end of the day, they're so strong right now, I don't think it's going to mean Phelan can take this Dragon.
Yeah, I just feel like Phelan trying to go for this fight right now is a bit of a misnomer. They do release the Rift Herald right at this point, so it's going to push onto the second tier turret if Lucian can respond. I do think MnM have just given this up, though. It looks like they've just given up the Infernal Drake. They reacted a little bit late to this situation. They're going into Shogun. Shogun jumps in, doesn't quite get the pulverize because he gets knocked back and stunned at the same time. ADM channeling a huge, huge ultimate. Doesn't... Oh, Chibs! Not what you wanted to do, my dude. And actually, Phelan, they get away scot-free.
Yeah, that's a massive win. They do lose a lot of pressure in the mid because of that Rift Tile, but the fact they got the Dragon, it was just a complete mistake from MnM. They kept their bot lane top for way too long. They gave up the pressure, and in a situation where they were completely in control, they lost an Infernal Dragon, which is not what should have happened.
The Cat Lol, who I believe... Who's the Cat Lol?
Support for Bulldogs.
Support for Bulldogs, yeah.
He's another bearded man.
Another bearded man.
And he believes Snuggly's beard to carry them, but we have to keep hoping because they are looking in a bit of a dire situation now. But still, they managed to get that Infernal Dragon essentially for free, and that was purely off MnM misallocating their lanes. There was no reason for Monk and Shogun to be top lane, other than, I guess, greed, because either Mummus or Monk wanted to pick up some extra farm and didn't want to swap yet.
I just think the timings of the way they tried to play around that Infernal Dragon were a little bit slow. They released Rift Herald. For some reason, Monk felt he needed to stay mid with the Rift Herald to take the mid lane tower. Which
it was the fact he was walking down from top lane.
Yeah, but he was even then attacking mid lane tower when the Infernal Dragon was going on.
I think the big thing was, because he was top, Phelan managed to get control of the Dragon area, and they just couldn't walk in blind. And I think if Monk had been there a minute earlier, they could have just got complete control of the area, got the Dragon for free, put the Rift Herald down at the same time, but instead they got a bit overconfident. That might be their downfall, because Phelan, as you said, if they protect their carries, they can do well in a team fight. They just need to find the opportunities. It
was an attempted death brush bait there for Phelan on the top side of the map, and you can see Soph even going to get spied out by Monk, and they know there's a lot of pressure now on this top side. What can MnM do to respond? They're going for this turret. It's very, very low. Like a single push with a minion wave might do the trick here for MnM.
Yeah, Nulty is in the area. I think they might just have to back off for this next wave and give it up. Item differential between AD carries is pretty big.
That's, yeah, pretty huge right now. Kalista still working towards that initial Blade of the Ruined King, and you can see Monk already picking up a pickaxe. Wondering where he's going to go with that as the next item.
Most likely going for the Essence Reaver.
Yeah, I imagine Essence Reaver would be the point of call here for Monk.
Yeah, it's been the transition is that the options are still that Black Cleaver or the Essence Reaver. They both give that nice 20% CDR for Lucian. The Essence Reaver, I think, scales a bit better, but the Black Cleaver better in the mid game because it gives you that bulkiness and also pretty effective against tanks. And also makes your culling hit so much.
Your culling does hurt.
Black Cleaver culling is just disgusting.
So now red side vision control being established by MnM. They are pushing through a lot of those towers. They're accelerating that gold lead. 7,000, and we're at 17 minutes in.
I mean, this is big, but I'm always going to say but. Phelan still have that route where if MnM take a botched engage, they don't manage to get on top of ADM and a Chew, and they get a good team fight on 2 items, there is hope. It's not a great hope, but it's something.
Yeah, not quite Jedi hope, but just a little bit of hope, you know, like somewhere down the bottom of the barrel.
Like a Jawa or something.
It's like relying on Jar Jar Binks to take out Darth Vader instead of Luke. He probably could do it, but...
I'm not sure what sort of movie that would make, though.
Well, actually, do you know what? There's a really, really interesting theory about Jar Jar Binks.
The Sith Lord Jar Jar.
The Sith Lord Jar Jar Binks theory.
Yeah.
Which I think is one of my favorite theories that I've ever read about Star Wars.
I think it's pretty good. I just feel, if it is true, I feel really disappointed that he bottled it and just decided not to go through with it. Because all the bad criticism that Jar Jar Binks got after the first film, he was like, nah, scrap this, we're not having that, they'll hate that. But if he just committed, people would have, at least some people would have like...
Just, you know, instead of Emperor Palpatine, or whatever it was, instead of, you know, with the hood, you just turn around and it's like Jar Jar Binks in the hood when he reveals it. He's just like...
I'd have loved that.
Miso lightning. Oh, God. Let's concentrate back on the game. Not much has happened. You haven't missed much, guys. Don't worry about it. MnM just setting up around the Baron, which spawns in 1 minute and 20 seconds. And they should be able to take that with relative ease. They are a significant portion ahead in this game. Yeah,
it's still got to be a little bit careful. But the thing is, I don't see a way Phelan easily get to that Baron pit to contest.
See, this is an Inax move, but it actually works out as a Chew. Well, almost works out because Monk's going in. Oh! He gets the kill. Monk, absolutely huge. Can't get the triple, but the rest of the team is here to follow him up. Now, Snuggly's going to go down, and followed by Soph. A great response from MnM, and that was a big play from Monk.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed over-aggressive, but in return, Phelan kind of dropped the ball there. They didn't land the CC on the Monk, and as a result, when MnM comes swinging, they take out everyone involved in that play from Phelan.
And they get the turret off the back of it too, keeping that gold lead nicely around that 9,000 mark. Going to clear out vision, you would expect, from this red side jungle. At least you'd hope so. They are just ignoring all of the vision control that Phelan have there. Had a good opportunity to clear out some control wards, didn't clear out one. I'm going to rate you 0 out of 10 for that, MnM.
Oh, well. Unlucky. Better luck next time. But I think the crucial thing was is that they didn't land the cocoon, and then the Kalista ult didn't connect on a Monk. I think he might have flashed it, but it just meant he had enough time to pin down a Chew. And a Chew, he took so much damage at the start of that, and he held his flash. There was definitely a potential where you use your flash to take less damage. Maybe even flash aggressively so you're not sitting in the full brunt of the culling. I just feel like a Chew kind of dropped the ball, Snuggly kind of dropped the ball, and Soft kind of dropped the ball, and they ended up paying for it.
They're going to collapse now onto Aragon, who has actually been kind of a bastion of shining light for Phelan, because he has been untouched this game. Although I say that, he doesn't quite manage to escape here. His flash is down, and Monk is going to finish the job as Aragon takes his first death of the game.
Yeah, Aragon disappointed with that happening to him. Was 0-0-0 untouched, but now falling prey to the MnM machine.
I'm going to pick up this Ocean Drake with relative ease, and again, you're looking at Phelan and saying, I just don't see a route back in easily for them right now. 10,000 gold is something that's almost considered insurmountable.
I mean, the thing is as well is that when we talked about Fnatic's composition, how great that is for contesting a Baron as a flank, I look at Phelan and I'm like, what do you really do?
Apart from Vel'Koz ultimate,
Vel'Koz over the wall's okay, but that's it. You have no one who wants to run in on the flank and just disrupt. Poppy's maybe the only one, but he doesn't have enough damage or lockdown to do much. And I think if MnM ever started a Baron, I don't think there's much threat for them getting turned off. And the thing is, the crucial thing is if MnM decide to back off from the Baron and run away, I don't think there's anything to stop that from happening. Or if they just want to turn and counter-engage with the Lissandra. You know, you can do that so easily, and it's a really good way to punish an overextension. But I mean, that's the problem, is that if Vel'Koz ults over the wall, you just walk away. You know, also, you know where he is. Chips could just jump over. You just throw a Gragas barrel. You have so many options, and I feel you're pretty limited in what Phelan could do as a response to MnM. That's why I feel once MnM control this Baron area, it'll be very hard to stop them from starting up and potentially taking it, which is why I feel making the early move to get here, they're potentially going to look for a pick on this Baron side of the map. So Nulty's actually behind them, but hasn't seen them yet, so everybody very quiet. But oh, ADM is getting jumped on. Oh, he's actually not taking too much damage right now. Doesn't manage to back out here. Nulty now by himself. That is the pick they were looking for. Nulty immediately uses the stopwatch. The rest of MnM are moving in. A great barrier ultimate coming out from the Brawn, but is it enough right now? It looks like at the moment we're at 1-for-1. Jumping in onto ADM is Monk as he flashes away, tries to buy some more time. Aragon just doing nothing on the sidelines, getting punched back by Monk, and the rest of Phelan have no damage whatsoever. And it looked so good at the start, but MnM still come out on top. That is the sort of fight where if there isn't a 10k goal difference, it might have gone okay. But when there is, it's just the damage isn't there. Monk is too strong. He can go into ADM's face and just bully him away from the fight. It was a good attempt, and they do manage to kill Nulty, so by all means a success when you're this far behind. But still, things aren't looking good for Phelan. Nulty's had a great game this game, 4-1 and 2, had huge impact across the map. I think everybody from MnM have been firing on all cylinders too. Apart from, not to say Mummus has been playing bad, he just hasn't really done anything. I mean, he's been in a sideline matchup versus the Poppy where he's just been farming. And that's fine. He's 226 farm. He's the most farmed on his team. He's really powerful. He's got Death Dance. Yeah, he's done his job. It's been a pretty boring job. That's all I'll say. I don't know. I've always liked those matchups. I feel like there's nothing to blame me for. I can just sit there and farm. See, I'm the opposite because I'm a support player, so to me, farming's a bit dull. Yeah, I suppose. I'm always like, I want to be in Shogun's position, like, let's fight, let's go. Boom, 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 engage. And speaking of Shogun, he's got a 10 out of 12 kill participation here, so he's got a big kill participation across the map. In fact, I'd actually almost argue that Shogun has been the MVP of this match just purely for some of the engages that he has found for his team. The MVP so far. So far, that's true. We are still in the game right now. Still potential for him to miss a couple of combos and Phelan to come back into this. Crucially, as I've said before, as I'll say again, if ADM gets a bit more items, I think that's a crucial thing. He's the closest in gold to his counterpart right now. Yeah. He is only just 1,000 gold behind his sort of opposing mid laner. So the issue is, I feel like until you have the Hurricane on a Chew, or at least a second like a Ginsu's or something, I just feel like the Callista's not going to pump out enough damage to really... Because the ult from ADM does a lot, but it's not going to kill anyone. No. Unless they just get caught in the middle for 5 seconds. They're supposed to bring it low enough so that the Rend can do the work, right? Absolutely, but a Chew just can't really do much on just the one-item spike. So, if he gets that Ginsu's, that's when I might be a bit more confident that they can sort of win a team fight, but MnM taking control of that Baron area, and it's so difficult to contest. That was a nice little disengage there from Soft. Got to respect the mechanics went into that. A Chew now oversteps just ever so slightly. Chib's trying to go in, does get in, gets onto a Chew. He goes down immediately, and now Mummus is following up onto Aragon, who manages to dive away. But MnM don't look like they're done yet. They're going back in. The ultimate charging up from Aragon, looking to knock away, and they only get the cow. And now Phelan are turning things around. That's a big ultimate. ADM gets the initial. Ooh. Yeah, I think I can instantly tell tell from the way that Chibs, we'll see that play again. We'll have a look at that before we talk about the pause. So Achu takes so much damage here, and then Snuggly goes in. The initial knockup's there, but then the flash is actually super early, and Snuggly just, he uses his ult too soon. Monk ends up killing Achu, but to be honest, I don't think it would have mattered. I think they all would have died anyway.
It's never a good a moment when you have a pause in the middle of a team fight.
Well, I think what happened there, because I could see from Chibs' movement, is Monk was backing away, and it looked like Chibs just wasn't.
Yeah, maybe disconnected.
Before he died, I got a sense that he disconnected. And then when he died, I was like, okay, definitely, there's going to be a pause in a second here. It's a bit unlucky from the side of MnM, but I don't think it's going to cost him too much. They're still pretty much in control of this game.
Unless the pause overlap win condition comes in. I don't know what it is, but there is a certain amount of time you're allowed to pause the game for.
Yeah.
Can you choose? I don't know what the rule set says if you're allowed to choose to play 4v5.
Well, I'm not exactly sure on the rule set, but surely you could just keep the game going and be like, yeah, he's here. He's just sitting on the base, having fun.
Yeah. He's just AFK. He's got his mum called him for dinner.
It's a new strategy. No, but,
do you remember the Karthus base strategy?
I think the big question for me, yeah. Do you remember that bug with Xerath, where Xerath could sit in his base and his Q would hit everything on the map?
I hear game sounds right now.
Yeah, I know, it's really weird.
I'm hoping that means that we're getting. Oh, we're not. We're not. I've been told. I got a very firm. Nope, not there.
There was this. It wasn't a bug. It was more of an exploit. It was a hack where Xerath could hit everyone on the map with his Q. Just everything on the map would get hit. And so the
Xerath, just like you just charged it and it hit everything.
Everything. There was just. I'm not exactly sure how to do the exploit because I obviously never did it myself because I'm an honorable summoner.
Honorable.
But these exploiters, these evil people, they would just sit there and their Q would hit everything. So they'd get all the farm. They'd kill, and then I saw someone showing it from the other view, and obviously you get super fed, and he was playing Kled, so he didn't die, because he was on the fountain. His mount would just die every time. But everyone on his team, as soon as they spawn, would just die. And like everyone on his team had like 20 deaths each. The Xerath was on 100 kills, and they were just like, well, this is fun. And there's nothing you can do.
He just charges Q and it hits the whole map.
Everything, yeah, it was pretty ridiculous. At least, I'm certain it hit every player. I'm not sure if it was every map. Well, we see the fight go back underway. Phelan's still going forwards, but...
Oh, Monk going to get to the flash there onto Soft. He's going to try and find that last basic attack. Doesn't quite manage to do so. They've got to respect ADM, who, again, is that ability to bring themselves back in teamfights with Phelan. They have a lot of damage coming out from that Vel'Koz.
It's a difficult situation because Phelan take the best opportunity they're going to get, which is Chibs not being on the map. But even then, they still don't come out ahead in the team fight. And the thing is, their composition doesn't do well when they're running forwards. They want to defend their carries. You saw Aragon just running forwards at Monk, soaking a full culling. Didn't go down well. No,
he has picked up the Warmogs now, though, so he's a bit beefier. But Monk is on a 3-item spike. Warmogs is not going to save you from a 3-item Lucian.
Yeah, you know what item's good against the Warmogs?
A Blade of the Ruin King.
Very true. And he is starting to get that crit build built up, which means he's going to pump through every member later in things, but... Another Infernal Dragon, not a good situation for MnM, for Phelan, sorry, because I feel like they aren't in position to contest it.
But they look like they want to, that's the problem. I also think they probably shouldn't contest this, but they look like they want to. I think you're waiting for that Rabadons to be finished on ADM. That for me is an item that could potentially give you some game-winning team fights if you can pull off a big Vel'Koz ultimate.
I feel like you wait for the Baron. The Baron's a better objective to try and win a team fight off. I feel like this isn't the best one, and with Shogun on the flank, things already could be looking dicey, but Shogun's actually getting caught out here.
Yeah, has to pop the redemption very early.
And his ult.
Yeah, and Chu found a pretty good flank here, and Shogun maybe a little bit over antsy. He's now popped that ultimate he's going to be starting to take down, but they're going to back off. Shogun has taken a lot of damage, as has Chips here, actually.
Yeah, the poke's working.
This is actually not a bad situation for Phelan to be in. They're trying to go focus down and get this Infernal Dragon, as Snuggly now jumps onto the back line, looking for Achu. That's a great lockup of stuns, and Achu picks up the kill onto Shogun. What on earth happened here for MnM? Because Phelan basically snuck one out under their nose.
MnM just make another mistake where they don't get into the area soon enough. They don't establish vision control. Phelan get the opportunity to do so, and they end up winning out. We said if Phelan can protect their carries, they win. They found the flank from Shogun, and we're in a safe position, but now Nolty's coming in, but a TP is as well.
Achu is dancing around, trying to get the kill onto Mummus. That's a lot of damage onto Achu, as Nolty's looking for it, but the stuns are landing thick and fast. A great stopwatch just at the time the Rend was going to be used, and that will keep Nolty in the game, as Snuggly and Aragon now are being chased down and hunted by the rest of the MnM roster. Aragon will pick one up in return. but for the most part, MnM come out victorious.
It's bad, but not awful. Phelan get a handful of kills. They get quite a bit of gold from that. MnM might be heading over to that Baron, but with no jungler, there is a little bit of risk involved. Yeah,
no jungler for soft too, but you do have to respect the fact that ADM could just pump that ultimate over the wall, and that is something that you have to be a little bit worried about if you're going to be MnM in a situation with no smite.
I would make this play if I were them. I'd start the Baron. It's a risk, but I mean, stuff is coming down pretty fast, so I mean, I say it's a risk. This could be a bit too big of a risk because they don't do this Baron super fast.
No, it's not going down that quickly at all. Snuggly now looking to get some vision control around the area, and he will do. Here comes Soft as well, and he has got that smite. He should get there in time. They're trying to buy time. Oh, that's a great engage. That's a huge, huge kill there for ADM, who's still alive. He is still going, and he buys time for them to get the kill onto Lissandra. I have no idea what is happening here, but it's going to be Shogun paying the iron price once more, and Phelan pick up yet another miracle engage.
Just great play from them, and it feels like disrespect from MnM time and time again. They go for the over-aggressive plays, they get punished, and Phelan, they had a rough early game, but they are showing they can still play as a team, and now I think they're going to head and start this Baron up.
They do have to be careful too. You're going to be dealing with Mummus, who is pretty fed on this Aatrox, as well as a AP Gragas, who can be a little bit of a nuisance in these situations. Nolte going to look to push and put presence over the wall. I think Mummus is coming in too, but the Ren stacks are surely going to be a massive deal here for Phelan. They're going to try and turn
back. They knock him away, that's so big.
That's a huge knock away onto Mummus. We have to be so careful here. Nolte, oh, that's Aragon! What a monster! Knocks Nolte out the way, and the Rend picks up the Baron for Phelan. You said 5 minutes ago, Phelan get an Infernal Drake and a Baron. I'd have told you you're absolutely crazy.
And it just shows the shot calling and the coordination from Phelan is on another level. So far behind in gold, and yet they find the windows, and they punish MnM for their overconfidence. I wouldn't have tried to punish MnM there because I would have expected too much, but they've just absolutely made misplays, and you can see that goal difference. ADM's pulled ahead of his counterpart, and we said that Vel'Koz is going to be a monster in the late game, but now MnM, there's no Baron for them to take on the map. They're down in Infernal, and the gold gap, it's still big, but it's definitely closed.
There is just nothing for them to take on the map. It's not just that there is no Baron, there is absolutely nothing. They have to siege an inhibitor turret against Baron waves.
And when they have such short range, that's not really an option.
I mean, what Phelan have got here is about 3 to 4 minutes of just Sanctuary to be able to just farm. Because there's nothing they can lose at this point in time.
I mean, the only thing is that Dragon coming up in a minute 30 and a Mountain. When there's no Baron on the table, I would just be happy to give it up. But, I mean, at the way Phelan have been playing, they might take the team fight to MnM and win it out. Because this has been a great performance from them. Considering how dire the early game was, they've pulled it back massively.
We're almost looking at a 3-item Kalista now as well. I mean, she's bridged that gap. And we've still got a 3,000 gold lead for Monk at this point in time. But the gap is getting bridged.
And the thing is as well is that if Phelan play the team fights out how they want to play it, if they get a bit of poke off at the start from ADM and then they protect their carries, they win these team fights.
But let's talk about this in the context of the entire competition. If Phelan were actually to win this game, that is huge for Phelan and their chance at making playoffs. This is a game that Phelan really need to get in the bag because they are still a considerable way behind the XL and the MnM rosters, who have got that 8 points currently. I think they'll be sitting at 10 after this week if they were to lose in the semi-finals.
Yeah.
But it's still a sort of a point difference that you can close if you get this win and then continue to have good performances in the following weeks.
Absolutely, Phelan are playing to make playoffs now. They are going for the hero run, and MnM still their first opponent. And yes, the goal difference is still 7,000, but compared to the game state, you know, 5-10 minutes ago, way better now for Phelan. As long as they protect those carries, that's the crucial thing. MnM need to find access onto that Vel'Koz and shut him down. I need to lock down that Kalista, who crucially, no QSS picked up, so Alessandra ult onto the Kalista would be devastating.
Yeah, I got to give massive credit to ADM and his fancy feet on this Vel'Koz. You can see why he goes. You can see why he goes into the orb first. I can never remember the name of that.
Spellbinder.
Spellbinder, yeah. Builds from Nullifying Orb. You can see why he goes to Spellbinder first, because he's used that movement speed buff a huge amount. Every time these fights have sort of brought himself out, and he's been able to dodge in and out of everything that is thrown at him. I give massive credit to ADM. Although it doesn't look like the scorelines mean that much with a 3-2-2, he's probably had the most impact out of anybody in these fights.
Absolutely. It's just been, his ults have been devastating. Make the decision to give up that Mountain Drake, I think it's a good one. I don't think you had to contest that. And for once, MnM make the setup. They control the vision in the area, and the question I'm going to ask is, that's been the downfall to me for MnM, is that they haven't played the macro correctly. They go for objectives, but they don't get that early to set up. And then when Phelan do the same, it gives Phelan the advantage. There were 2 Infernals on the side of Phelan that they had no right to have. MnM were in control of the game when they picked up those Infernals, but disrespect and a lack of coordinated team play meant that MnM didn't get there in time, didn't set up, and as a result lost those objectives. And I'm not going to say it yet, but if they lose the game, it's off the back of that.
I think it's still a long way to come back for Phelan. We've praised them a lot in terms of the way that they've reacted to certain plays on the map and team fights they've made, but it is still a significant gold gap that they have to come back from. Yeah,
and I think the crucial thing to look at is still Monk. You look, he's at this 4-item spike. Kalista has just picked up a 3rd, but it's still a big difference to have. But now, Kalista's at that point with Ginsu's Runans and the Blade of the King. If she's unchecked in a team fight, she can really start to put down a lot of damage.
And you are seeing a very powerful Vel'Koz as well, something that we will keep harking back to with a great front line. You've got the Braum and a very tanky Poppy now. Knight's Val picked up for the Poppy too.
Which sort of begs the question, maybe this is time for MnM to start putting that 1-3-1 back into play. You have seen them got that formation right now, but we said Phelan want everyone grouped. They want that front line there, able to protect that back line. MnM prefer things a bit split up because they have TPs from both their solo laners to offer. Right now, they're just trying to keep this side of Phelan pushed into their base and waiting 1 minute on that Baron spawn. A lot better control now from MnM if you look towards that Baron area, and it's going to be difficult for Phelan to push out the base to contest that. For me, I always feel like you should be getting control on an objective a minute before it spawns. So Phelan, unless they start pushing up now, they might be in a position where they never get a chance to contest this.
Yeah, and you can see Monk just warding that area, just keeping it very, very safe, warding away Phelan from moving through their own red side jungle. Yeah, and that Baron is going to be spawning in 30 seconds, and Phelan do need to contest it.
You see, Soft and Snuggy, they brought Aragon over to start pushing up in the vision control. They want to contest this. With 30 seconds to go, this is a time where you want to get a couple of wards down and find a route safely through the jungle.
Yeah. I mean, MnM's crux right now is they can't push through these inhibitor turrets very easily versus the likes. Oh my goodness, Soft. That is a huge amount of damage coming out from Monk. Aragorn is going to try and block as much as he can. Soft gets knocked away by Nolty. It was a good attempt, but the calculation wasn't quite there. Soft walks away with limited HP.
Close, though. It does mean that Soft is going to have to go back to base. There's potential for MnM to start things up, but you still have to be very wary of the teamfight potential off this Vel'Koz, off this Kalista. They're heading over to the Baron. They want to start up when Soft isn't here yet, but he's running back fast.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be able to get this quickly enough before the rest of Phelan can actually look to contest this. And you can see that.
Out. Look at the damage Nolty's taking.
Actually, that's a lot of damage going down. I mean, Nolty is full AP Gragas at this point in time, and you can see Phelan now looking to move in on this Baron area. There's the redemption coming through as Mummus starts to move in. Mummus taking a lot of damage, absolutely isolated. A great, again, ultimate from Snuggly, doing great job of zoning everyone away. Aragon isolates. Can he do anything from it, though, as Mummus has not had that GA popped? And crucially, Monk dove onto ADM in the backline. Oh, he goes for the hero play onto Monk, and Monk gets shut down. The laser absolutely burning through the MnM roster, and Soft and Snuggly are still going. ADM, the hero of this play. He has got so much damage, and Mummus and Alistair can do nothing to contest it. Phelan are looking for another hero play. Oh, that was rough, though. A little bit of an overextension.
Overzealous.
Oh, my heart. I can't take any more Phelan.
Yeah, they have to respect the Aatrox. I feel like they shut down Monk, who overstepped massively. But then the Aatrox is still 6-0-3 now after that team fight. He had GA, he had his ult as well. And I think at the end, when you had 3 members against 2, Phelan should have gone, okay,
happy.
We won,
yeah,
back off.
We're like 7k gold behind now, lads. I mean, that was a good fight for us. Let's not take it any further.
Yeah, and the thing is, the death time is still very heavy for Soft. I feel like MnM could just rush towards the Baron as soon as they spawn. And you can see the TP coming out already. They're going to go for it.
They're going straight onto this Baron right now. You can see Mummus and Shogun are going to start it up. Whether Snuggly caught that, I don't think he did. Another teleport coming through too. I think they've just given this Baron up.
Pings are coming out on the Elder Dragon, but it's spawning now.
I think it's too late. I don't know if they're going to get that in time.
They're running over. They have to try and do something, but it looks like Monk's going to try and come over and stop them. They need to start hitting this very soon, because that Elder Dragon has a lot of HP. MnM are running down, and Snuggly's already chunked very low.
Oh, Monk's just absolutely smashed Snuggly. Can he get enough health back from this Honey Fruit? I don't know if he can. They're going to get the vision around it with the River Scuttler, but that is going to be everything that they can do in this situation. This game has been up and down, left and right. And it's not over yet as Phelan and MnM duke it out. The Elder Dragon has been started. It's going to be forced for Phelan to respond. If they lose the Elder Dragon and the Baron, that is it. That is game over for Phelan, you feel.
He's just looking to come in.
Yeah, he goes in, snugly. Oh, these ultimates have been so good. Can ADM do anything here as he's forced back by... Steel Stock gets the Elder Dragon. I didn't even see that, but the rest of Phelan are getting absolutely blown apart. Soft now, only with Aragon, and they lose their entire team. I think that's game over, despite that Elder Dragon take.
Yeah, they get the Elder Dragon, but they lose the team fight. Crucially, ADM wasn't able to find a good ult, just got jumped on by Chibs. And what did we say at the start of the game? Protect your backline, and that's how Phelan wins. And in our last team fight, they weren't able to, and now MnM. It wasn't clean, and they definitely made it close, but they finally managed to close this game out.
I can thank Phelan for me losing my voice at the end of this game. I almost had nothing left in the tank. MnM will take the victory. They deserved it from the get-go, but Phelan fought incredibly hard to make this a lot harder than it needed to be for MnM. And now we have our final of the UKLC setup. It will be MnM taking on Fnatic Rising for the chance to take on Diabolus at the top of the tower later today.
Absolutely, and I have to give credit to Phelan for making it as close as it was. That early game just did not go well, but they found a way back into it. It felt like they made the right decisions as a team on a lot of cases, but at one point they were just too far behind. MnM, they got that early lead. They really botched a lot of their setup, but in the end, great performances from the likes of Mummus and Chibs meant that they did win the game out.
So we're going to take a look at the MVP for this game, and I think actually rightfully so, we called it in the mid-game. Shogun will be the MVP for MnM. The engages that he set up for his team really gave them the keys to victory in the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that early game, again, was really solid off the back of Shogun. He made things happen consistently. My only concern is just as a team, they were a bit lackluster in setup, and that's my concern going up against Fnatic.
Yeah.
Because Fnatic, they will punish if you make a single mistake. Phelan did their best, but Fnatic are on another level, I feel, and it's going to be a good match the next one, but MnM need to step that game up if they want to bring it to them.
They need to be much more focused, much more macro-orientated. They can't let those same mistakes fail against Fnatic. Let's have a look at the bracket now so we can see exactly where we are on the ladder. And you'll see as we climb towards the top of the tower, we've had a great set of matches. Notably today, XL and Fnatic Rising. Fnatic Rising really took down that mean composition from XL. MnM and Phelan, what a brilliant match that was, with Phelan almost finding their way back in, but that sets up the final of today, our third match, which will be Fnatic Rising taking on MnM. And again, after that, the winners will go on to take Diabolus at the top of the tower.
We've been sitting pretty this whole time, but with the games that have come out so far, it's been so tough and so close. It makes you kind of forget that we have another team on the table who put up great performances last week, and I feel like it's going to be a great next final, and then the tower challenge potentially even better.
Now remember, MnM did take down Fnatic last week at the top of the tower to give themselves that tower position. Can they do it again in their fight for the top of the tower this week? We'll have to see. When we're back after the break, we'll have Fnatic and MnM taking each other on.